Oil prices up off bad tariff news? Next on the Energy Newsbeat Daily Standup. Ghost factories are a warning sign for green manufacturing's future. I mean, this is really interesting because as we've been talking about recently, obviously the One Big Beautiful Bill phases out energy subsidy or wind and solar subsidies that were in the Inflation Reduction Act, or as we like to call it, the Porky's bill. But what they did at the last minute was, if you watched yesterday's show, they switched the language a little bit. And it's now, well, it doesn't phase out by 2027 as long as your project is, quote, in construction. And I'm using quotes for those podcast listeners. In completion or in construction, you will now be able to get the tax benefit for the full life of the project. So this is only going, so that One Big Beautiful Bill is only going to enhance what we've sort of already seen, which is these so-called ghost factories or abandoned and stalled clean energy projects. It's pretty unbelievable. So to give you guys an idea, here's the impact of these, and here's what's going on. You've basically got all of these projects which were started but have now stalled because they don't quite have the capital, but they needed to start in order to get the tax subsidies, something we're going to see a lot more of because of the One Big Beautiful Bill. So first up, Buckeye, Arizona, Core Power, $1 billion battery factory, basically leaving a 214-acre lot empty after doing initial groundwork. Oh, but it's in construction. The company's CEO has stepped down. That seems interesting. Very interesting. So there's also a wind turbine factory in Massachusetts that was scrapped. We've got a Georgia EV battery component facility was suspended mid-construction. Colorado lithium battery plant was also put on hold in the middle of construction. According to, this is a stat for you right here, according to Atlas Public Policy, 9% or about 10% of the $261 billion in green factory investments announced since 2021 has been shelved or canceled during the middle of construction. And most of that has occurred since Trump came into office 2025. So what does that mean? They're souring on this, and this is only going to get more. Again, why did they abandon it? Well, they didn't abandon it. They abandoned it because it doesn't make economic sense. Why did they start it? Well, they started it because you were handing out free money. It goes back to incentives, and I bang my fist on the table, and it's not just because I studied economics that I scream about incentives, but show me the money and I will show you an incentive. Meaning if you just give people free money, you are going to change behavior. Now, that can be a good thing. It can also be a bad thing. And that's where I come down on this. It doesn't really matter the efficacy of these solar projects. But what we're seeing, of these wind projects, what we're seeing is that if they had to go dollar for dollar up against other alternative energy sources, they're going to lose on a dollar for dollar investment ROI basis. Or why would they not be building? Why wouldn't everybody be building this? Why wouldn't Chevron be trying to take over the wind farm business? I mean, if anyone has the capital to build massive wind farms, it's Chevron. I've never figured this out. People say, oh, well, big oil hates wind and solar. They're probably actually the best companies set up in order to manufacture and deploy large-scale wind. But why aren't they in it? Well, because they don't want a dollar-for-dollar basis. It doesn't make fiscal sense. It doesn't stack up with what they currently do. So I think you're only going to see these ghost factories get a lot better. It's bleak for wind and solar, or a good thing if you're on our side of the screen where, we're not a big green subsidy people. So I think it's super, super fascinating, and this will definitely be one to watch. Let's jump over, quickly touch on finance stuff, guys. Before we do that, let's quickly pay the bills. As always, check us out, energynewsbeat.com, the best place for all your energy and oil and gas news. Stu and the team do a tremendous job making sure that website stays up to speed. Everything you need to know to be at the tip of the spear when it comes to the energy and the oil and gas business. Hit that description below for all links to the timestamps, links to the articles. Check us out on Substack, theenergynewsbeat.substack.com, the best place if you want to support the show. Subscribe to our Substack. If you do feel so inclined, go ahead and sign up for a paid subscription. It allows us to keep doing what we're doing. Shout out to friends of the show, Reese Energy Consulting. Guys, go to reeseenergyconsulting.com for all your midstream needs. Guys, they have clients ranging all the way from two guys in a garage all the way up to the largest publicly traded companies in the world. So if you're wondering if you're a fit or not for Reese Energy, you are a fit because you have needs, you have problems that you're dealing with in the midstream space, and they can solve it. ReeseEnergyConsulting.com. Tell them Energy Newsbeat sent you, and they'll give you $2,000 discount. That's a joke, but they will enjoy the fact that we sent you there. ReeseEnergyConsulting.com. And finally, guys, investinOil.EnergyNewsbeat.com. If you are wondering if energy or oil and gas investments is right for your portfolio, go ahead and go to investinoil.energynewsbeat.com. Fill out our oil and gas portfolio survey. It will tell you and give us an idea where you stand from an energy and oil and gas inclusion in your portfolio. And based on your responses, we will send you information and possibly point you in the right direction when it comes to oil and gas investing. That's investinoil.energynewsbeat.com. Let's just quickly run through top line indices. Market's a little soft today. S&P down about 0.8 of a percentage point. NASDAQ down about 0.8 of a percentage point. 2 and 10-year yields up about 2/8 of a percentage point and 0.8 of a percentage point. Dollar index rebounds a little bit today, up about 0.6 of a percentage point. We saw Bitcoin drop about $1,200 today, down to 107, 108, basically trading at that low point right now. Crude oil jumped to about $68, 67.95. That's up 1.5 percentage points. Brent oil up about 0.5 of a percentage point, up to 69.33. Nat gas basically flat, $3.40 on the nose. XOP, which is our E&P securities contract, down about 1.1 percentage points, down to 127.75. I mean, really, there's two things. Obviously, we talked yesterday about OPEC's raising their oil production by 548,000 barrels relative to what was supposed to just be a 411. We also are expected to see some demand. There is some tariff stuff coming on. So there's really two things on the bull side or on the bear side that's holding prices back. The whole China, that deal. We're not a tariff podcast here, but the noise that's coming out of what's going on with those trade negotiations is not looking good from a Chinese standpoint. But what we are seeing is that a demand could come back. We did see a record number of Americans traveling for July 4th, so that's a strong indicator of demand. I think there's some other things that I think we're seeing specifically going on with what's going on in the Middle East. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will be at the White House today, actually, as we record this. So, depending on what goes on in the Middle East, could be spicy, but lots of interesting things going on there. I think the only other thing I saw today was Iraq lifts oil production by 80,000 barrels across 3 key fields. The only thing I want to point out here is normally we don't get a lot of this granular production data, okay? But according to Iraqi news, 7 new wells were drilled in the Nasiriyah field alone, lifting oil production from 52,000 barrels to 70,000 barrels. 18,000 barrels a day divided by 7. That's a big number. That's a nice big number. I mean, it's unbelievable. That goes, and these are vertical wells, guys. You got to remember, these are vertical wells. 18,000 barrels a day out of 7 wells. You're talking like 3,000, a little less than 3,000, 2,000 barrels a day, 2,500 barrels a day. Unbelievable what they can do with just vertical wells. It goes to show you why OPEC does really control the keys to the kingdom when it comes to supply. They can just, boop, oh, we need 20,000 barrels a day. Let's go drill some wells. Unbelievable. I always love looking at this stuff. 2,500 barrels a day from a vertical well. We don't got that over here. Trust me, I promise you that. That's really all I saw, guys. Quick news day today. Stu is last day of travel, and so we're holding down the fort for him. He will be back in the chair with me tomorrow, and we will keep you up to speed with everything you need to know. Otherwise, guys, I'm going to let you get out of here. Quick show for me. Thanks for checking us out. EnergyNewsbeat.com. We'll see you tomorrow.